right, welcome back to Pop Chaos. This is Jay, and with me again is Mr. V and Dez. And now we have a potato with us by the name of Kais. He's going to be talking with us about ToR as well, so we might as well get started. And there's complete silence.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to come in with like an intro of
Well, that was the intro. I mean, you all jumped right on the
Well,
galaxies thing.
do a melody.
well, you
Well,
did.
you asked Des what his opinion was
Oh,
first.
okay, all right. Well then, Mr. V, what is your opinion so far? What was your expectations of ToR before we got to play the beta?
Before we got to play the beta, honestly, I was expecting it to be kind of a letdown.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of was actually. I was expecting it to be very overhyped and to really and truly just not deliver.
Well, when we were playing Galaxies is when they introduced ToR, and a lot of people in Galaxies were, you know, bashing ToR to begin with. So I mean
And
that
then
didn't
when we
help.
got in the beta, we saw like all kinds of people from Galaxies on there, which is kind of funny. But I mean, we know Kai's opinion. We heard it for over a year. But go ahead, Kais. Tell the people what you thought. What were your pre-expectations?
What? Oh, it was not bad.
No,
I
no,
mean,
your
Your
pre-expectations before
expectations.
we played the beta.
oh, I didn't really like it.
No, sir. He didn't like it. Well, okay, so we talked about this game ever since it was first introduced or first announced, and I'll be honest, I saw pictures of it in magazines, game magazines, and it looked really stupid. I did not like the designs. The lightsabers looked better, bigger than someone's head, and it just looked really, really bad graphically, very cartoony. And then I started watching the videos a few months back on YouTube and on their site, and I thought, wow, this has improved a lot, and we all pre-ordered it and got invited to the beta. And since the beta, I mean, I have a couple of minor gripes about it, but you all can go ahead first. Whoever wants to go first, what you liked, didn't like, whatever.
Well, I guess I'll start off then. Um, I was kind of when the game was announced, I was kind of 50-50 on it because I'm one of those people. I want to try it out and stuff like that before I make a real opinion on it. And uh, then, like you said, we got invited into the beta, and I was watching videos and stuff like that on the website, and then started, you know, liking it more, and got into the beta, and it was like amazing. I mean, it it's it's like KOTOR, but better. Like Knights of the Old Republic, but like better because it's an MMO, and you have other people there with you and stuff like that. And my only gripes are that the character customization, they could improve that a little bit, give you some more options, and the space is kind of
Iffy.
limited.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's limited. Whereas in Galaxies, it was like it wasn't really so limited. I mean, you could do a lot of things, but as far as my opinion after playing, the beta, I mean, it it's excellent.
Well,
I mean,
I will agree with that. I mean, and I said for years, and I've told you guys this. I always said when I was playing ToR that they should make an MMO based on it, and that's pretty much what this is. And I mean, I don't want to contradict myself because I really enjoy that aspect, but it also brings to the forefront one of the gripes that I have with it. So, Kais, if you have any complaints so far, and we've talked about this, so you can go ahead and say whatever you have to say about it.
I, I find it to be linear.
And that's what we talked about, and that's one thing I was going to say about it. That's one of the only major
Right.
complaints I have.
If you're playing it solo, it's good crack for the first, what, 40 levels? Is that when your quest ends? I,
50, I think 50 is the max.
okay, well then it goes to the end. So it it's good crack for that, but it becomes complicated and everything else when you try to have, I don't know how many people are going from Galaxies to it that have like a 20-man guild. How are they going to organize all of that rather than just going off on their own? They're going to want to work together.
And once again, you've pretty much hit the other aspect that I was going to mention right on the nail, the head of the nail is that the group size is very limiting. I mean, in Galaxies it was what 8 people, and now they've toned it down to 4, and that is going to make it very restraining as far as getting several people to play together and having to go through the story more than once if you have more of the same kind of class. But Mr. V, any thoughts on that?
Well, I have to agree on the point of the group sizes. I mean, initially, from what I'm aware, the group size originally in Star Wars Galaxies was 20, and then it got turned down to 8 with all the updates and whatnot. But I agree that 4 is extremely limiting. I think that it should be at the minimum 6. Um, but I mean, I can
What's
understand. I can understand why they've separated, the class missions where you have to do them technically separately unless you check the checkbox and have your friends of the same class come in. But at the
Yeah,
same
but
time, it can get very old seeing the same cutscene over and over. But I suppose that's more of a subjective thing, really.
well, the good thing that I don't mean to interrupt you or anything like that, but the
It's
good
fine.
thing that comes from that is that, you know, they separated the classes, but the quests are so close together. It's not like you have to if you're with a Sith warrior and a bounty hunter. I mean, or sorry, excuse me, bad example. A Sith warrior and
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor.
in yeah, an Inquisitor. You're not going from one planet uh, on one side of the planet all the way over to the other side of the planet just to help the Inquisitor out. I mean, they're fairly close together where you can actually,
Yeah,
help.
yeah.
I recall when me and you played the beta, when we were taking our turn where it was just the two of us. That when you played your Sith warrior and I was on my Inquisitor, that we both that they had actually lined the quests up to go to the same general locations. So that, say, I could go down the hall and speak with who I was supposed to speak with, and then you go up there and see whoever you're supposed to see, and it all worked out. We got out at nearly the same times.
Well,
And
okay. Well, that brings me to a question. And it was very much the same way with the Jedi Sentinel and the Jedi Consular. We were in the same areas. I mean, it was different quests. But do you think that honestly they may have done it that way to maybe try to limit how many people in a group were the same class? That way, you don't have to run the same instance over and over. Maybe to encourage different classes coming together and playing to make it more of an iconic kind of Star Wars type feel.
Well,
well,
oh, sorry, go
I
ahead.
sorry about that. I personally believe that what it was designed to do is it was designed to get you to have a small group of, say, two of each. That would be a group of four. But I think it's more or less to teach you that the trooper, for instance, you have the troopers and the smugglers both starting in a starting area. That the trooper is a tank class, and there's also a DPS class, so you have room for one of each spec technically. And then the smuggler can be either DPS or support. And they initially wanted you to realize that you could do that, so they decided to start those classes in the same area. And the same goes for the Jedi Sentinel and Consular classes, and the Sith Inquisitor and Warrior, and the Agent and the Bounty Hunter. It's kind of designed to show you that those are the roles that you can do with those two classes in those starting areas. I think that's
And
what it
with
was designed for.
and with your companion involved, you actually do have a four-man group if it's just you and say your friend. So if once you get your companions, you call out your companions, you actually have a four-man group right there.
Right.
So I
No.
think it was designed, you know, for, that specific reason right there because I think they realized that, getting an eight-man group together was kind of hard, because in Galaxies, I know we had a hard time getting an eight-man group together because we weren't such a big guild.
Well, I think that part of that was due to the way that Galaxies had their system set up. I don't think that will be as much of a problem
Well,
in
okay,
4.
okay, yeah. Well, what I was going to say was, though, in Galaxies, yes, it was more free roam, and I don't like the fact that ToR has you in maybe 3 or 4 areas of the planet, and everywhere you go, it's a mission. I mean, it's kind of limiting in the fact that there's really no places like Isley to just hang out and talk because there's enemies everywhere. But in a way, that's good. It keeps the action going. But they also, from what I've seen, have set up ToR a lot like World of Warcraft, where you have missions all the way through your playing experience. It's not just like a legacy type quest, and then you're off on your own doing whatever the hell you want to do. You've got missions from level 1 all the way to 50, which will keep players entertained, and I approve of that. So, what do you all think of? Everyone here has at some point, at least for a little bit, played World of Warcraft, and also with the companion system, they've taken a page out of Guild Wars' book because Guild Wars did that as well, and I know Mr. V, myself, have both played Guild Wars. What do you all think of people comparing those aspects to those two games?
Well, I was getting ready to comment on the topic you had before of the social areas, so to speak, and I believe that a comparison that could be made from a video that I had seen on YouTube of just before the one of the previous closed betas had ended. There were a lot of people that seemed to have gathered in front of, I believe it's in front of the Senate in Coruscant. So I believe that is going to be a social area in the future, possibly.
That
For
and
at least the
the
Republic.
space stations.
And the space stations. So I believe that the space stations, the Imperial fleet and the Republic fleet, I believe that both of those will be so to speak,
The social hubs.
the social hubs, or in an example, if we were going to compare it to World of Warcraft, it would be the Ogrimmar or the Iron Forge or whatever the Alliance place was called. I don't know. I didn't play Alliance when I was in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but you can't really compare ToR to World of Warcraft because I mean,
There are ways that you can, and there's ways that you can't.
there's similarities. I'll admit there's similarities, but I mean technically they're two totally different animals. I mean, not because ToR has the Star Wars label with it, and whereas WoW is the fantasy part of it, but I believe there's similarities, but they're two totally different animals.
Well, oddly enough, we're getting off on a lot of great topics here and running out of time. So let's go ahead and take a short break, and we will extend this into a part 2 because evidently there's a lot of things that we want to talk about in ToR, and it's just not going to happen in 15 minutes. So we'll take a short recess, and we'll come back with another part, and we'll throw that up there.